What's up guys, Gannon here, back with another versus battle. Today I wanted to make something really interesting, something potentially provocative. I wanted to put some of the top tiers together in a deadly, intense 1 versus 1 scenario to truly see the scope of these two characters' abilities. With that being said, who would win in a fight? The only man in the known One Piece canon to not only have 2 Devil Fruit abilities, but 2 crazy strong ones at that, versus someone who solely relies on his own abilities to chop and slay everything in his waking path. That's right folks, today we have a versus battle between Admiral Marshall D. Teach of the Blackbeard Pirates and the 4 Yonko, and the former Shishibukai and strongest swordsman in the world, Dracule Mihawk. Let's get this started. First, let's get started with our analysis of the Yonko Blackbeard. Marshall D. Teach, otherwise known as Blackbeard, is one of the 4 Yonko and the Admiral of the Blackbeard Pirates. He was 38 years of age before the time skip, meaning he's now 40 years of age post-time skip. Teach is 344 centimeters tall, or 11 feet and 3.5 inches, and he is the only individual in the known One Piece universe to have multiple Devil Fruit powers, the Yami Yami no Mi and the Gura Gura no Mi. He's one of the 4 Yonko, meaning he's one of the 4 strongest pirates in the world, succeeding and ultimately taking Whitebeard's title after slaying him with the help of his crew. During the Battle of Marineford, he then concretely earned the title after defeating the remnants of the Whitebeard pirates during the infamous Payback War. He's also responsible for the defeat of 2 of Whitebeard's previous commanders, Thatch and Portgas D. Ace. After the time skip, Blackbeard amassed a whopping 2,247,600,000 berry bounty and promoted all of his strongest crew members to captains of their own respective ships in his fleet. He and his crew members are now hunters of strong Devil Fruit abilities. Blackbeard has been stated to be a formidable and dangerous foe by the likes of his fellow Yonko, red-haired Shanks. Teach was actually the one who gave him his iconic scar, and Shanks even states that it wasn't a result of his own carelessness. Because of this, even Shanks considers Teach to be a dangerous man. Teach is also credited for destroying the previous main base of operations for the Revolutionary Army on the island of Baltigo. On top of all this, Teach's main stake to fame is probably his rumored monster endurance. Teach has taken point-blank attacks from the former strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, both from his Devil Fruit ability and his supreme grade Bacento, without suffering any permanent damage. He's also taken direct attacks from characters such as Ace, Luffy, and Sengoku, all while using their respective Devil Fruit abilities. His endurance feats are even greater considering he actually takes more damage than the average person from attacks as a result and drawback of his Yami Yami no Mi powers. It's been stated by Buggy that Teach's endurance is so great that he doesn't even require rest like normal people. The biggest piece of evidence towards the fact that he's able to use multiple Devil Fruit powers is his abnormal body composition, as stated by Marco during Marineford. Lastly, a quick summary of his Devil Fruit abilities, because everybody should be aware of these infamous fruits, especially if you're watching this video. Blackbeard's original first fruit to our knowledge, and I say this because there is a very popular Cerberus theory out there, that isn't one that I personally subscribe to, but I think it should be mentioned, was the Yami Yami no Mi, or Dark Fruit. This fruit allows the user to create and control darkness at will, thus making them a darkness human. This fruit is unique among even the Logia types and has a reputation of being the most evil of fruits. The main strength of this fruit is that it allows the user to create darkness as well as its unique property of gravity. This gravity allows the user to pull in people and objects into a void that crushes everything. Its greatest strength, however, is its absolute ability to nullify all Devil Fruit powers on contact with the user, making the eater of this fruit a natural enemy for all Devil Fruit users. His other Devil Fruit ability, the Gura Gura no Mi, is a paramecia type Devil Fruit that allows the user to create and control vibrations and quakes, thus making them a tremor human. It was previously owned by Edward Newgate, but then was transferred to Teach via unknown means during the Marineford War. It's a Devil Fruit with a crazy reputation of not only being invincible and the strongest fruit among the paramecia class, but it's also been implied that the user of this fruit has the potential to destroy the entire world if they so choose. With this fruit, the user is able to create large, highly destructive earthquakes that can result in tsunamis as well. Okay, enough with Blackbeard, let's finally move on to the man with the title of the world's greatest swordsman, Dracule Mihawk. Dracule Mihawk is one of the most respected, most feared, and most infamous pirates in the One Piece world. He's also one of the few characters in the series who have an indisputable title, his being the literal strongest swordsman in the world. He was previously a Shishibukai and probably its most strong and formidable member before the group was disbanded by the world government. Mihawk is 198 centimeters tall, or 6 feet and 6 inches. He was 41 pre-time skip, making him 43 years of age after the time skip. Mihawk is one of the most powerful characters in the One Piece universe without question. His title as the best and greatest swordsman isn't disputed or argued by any character, even the top tiers in the universe. We have no evidence that Mihawk has a devil fruit ability, meaning that his power is probably solely a product of his own skill and mastery of the blade. Upon his introduction, it was seen that Mihawk had the power to effortlessly destroy all but one of Don Krieg's fleet of 50 ships and 5,000 men. He also defeated Zoro, an infamous East Blue swordsman with nothing but a small knife that he used to eat food with. Mihawk also came out of the Battle of Marineford without a single scratch on him, despite being a very active member of the battle. Mihawk has superhuman capabilities throughout the board, which he uses to enhance his swordsmanship and dueling ability. Like his epithet suggests, Mihawk has hawk-like eyes that offer tremendous eyesight, evidenced by the fact that he was easily able to track down and accurately slash towards a Luffy in Gear 2nd through a large group of people and while fighting Vista, an accomplished swordsman and commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. Mihawk also possesses insane superhuman strength and agility that allows him to create long-range slash attacks that are easily able to cut mountains in half with ease. He's probably the strongest among the warlords and potentially even an equal to his longtime rival in Yonko, red-haired Shanks, whom he's dueled with and probably has won duels against. If you'd like, you can check out my Mihawk and Shanks video that I made a while ago on that if you'd like. Lastly, just something I'd like to mention is that Mihawk also appropriately wields what is said to be the sharpest blade in existence, his supreme grade sword Yoru. Alright guys, I think that's enough talk about these two awesome and powerful characters. Let's get this versus battle started. Alright guys, versus battle time. Now normally with these videos these days, I usually like to script the entire thing just so it goes fluently, it helps me better in the editing phase and so on. But I'm not going to script this conclusion, and I'm actually not going to wait till the end of the video to tell you guys the conclusion, because I made this video with literally an intent in mind. I knew exactly who I was going to have winning this duel from the very beginning, and I can confidently say, me personally, based off my professional opinion as a One Piece connoisseur and a person who appreciates One Piece heavily, that Mihawk is most definitely taking this dub. This might be provocative to a lot of people. A lot of people probably have very different ways they interpret the strength of these characters. On pen and paper, you look at Blackbeard, he's got some of the most OP and powerful fruits in the verse. And you see Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman. Sure, everybody expects Mihawk to be able to compete with Blackbeard, but I doubt that everybody expects Mihawk to be able to win. I think Mihawk is taking this one, like, it's super evident. Mihawk is the strongest swordsman in the world. He is definitely the strongest member of the Warlords. Like, I think that's evident to everybody at this point. The Warlords were an organization of people created literally to balance the power between the world government and the four Yonko. This leads me to believe that the Warlords are expected to some degree to be able to compete with Yonko and their crewmates, and I know this doesn't hold true for all members of the Warlords because you obviously have characters like Buggy and Gecko Moria, which leads me to believe even further that Mihawk has to carry them in some fashion. Like, how are you going to say these 7 warlords are going to be that balance of power if you don't have extremely high-level characters like Kuma, Doflamingo, and Mihawk? I am a firm believer that Mihawk is a Yonko-level character who could hold his own against any of the Yonko in a 1v1 battle. And now, just because I say he can hold his own doesn't necessarily mean I think he's going to win. Mihawk is potentially an equal and worthy adversary to red-haired Shanks, a character who was said to be one of the few people who could stop and defeat Blackbeard. Mihawk's whole kit is that of a duelist and a swordsman, which gives him a huge advantage in a 1 versus 1 scenario. His moveset also leaves very little room for his enemies to commit error, as it's extremely lethal. Blackbeard, on the other hand, likes to rely on his crew a hell of a lot. It seems like his whole ultimate game plan really relied on him going to Impel Down and recruiting extremely strong and valuable pirate members to his crew. The main component to my argument for why Mihawk would beat Teach is pretty much representation. Mihawk has never strayed away from a fight. He's openly been willing to fight Shanks upon meeting him at any time. He's like, oh, Shanks, you're here, dude? I'm literally ready to fight you here and now. Mihawk himself actually believes that Shanks is weaker than him now that he doesn't have both of his arms and that Mihawk could actually defeat him. Mihawk is one of the most confident and intelligent characters in the entire series. Whenever anybody gets in front of him, Mihawk is unscathed. Vista, I know a lot of people are going to say Vista is in some way comparable to Mihawk. I believe that Vista is just barely good enough to be able to just be in a sword fight with Mihawk. If you actually go to that sword fight, Mihawk was really unintimidated the whole entire time. Sure, he gave Vista some prop, but it seemed like Mihawk literally had his attention on Luffy the whole time, and that Visto really wasn't giving him any trouble whatsoever. Mihawk is the definition of confidence. He seems to be one of the most intelligent and competent characters in the series, which is a stark contrast to Blackbeard. Like I said before, this is a 1-versus-1 scenario. Blackbeard relies on his crewmates heavily. He needed the entirety of his crew to just almost kill Whitebeard. Almost. They didn't even succeed because Whitebeard was still able to give a speech afterwards, and even then you could still see visible fear on his face. Teach, while there are some underlying elements that foreshadow that he's some kind of endurance beast and he's some kind of strong pirate, I don't really care a lot about that because the representation that I get from Teach so far in the entire series is that he's kind of a dum-dum and that he's kind of a coward. He wasn't prepared to fight Shanks whatsoever at Marineford and ran away like a little girl from a Kainu, proclaiming that he definitely wasn't ready to fight him when he was on his way to capture Jewelry Bonnie. The only thing that Blackbeard really has going for him are these off-camera feats like the scar he gave Shanks. And I believe that the praise that Shanks provides to Blackbeard is really just throwing caution to the wind. I believe that Shanks is just a really smart and cautious person. I almost interpret his warnings to Whitebeard to almost be saying like, oh hey, Blackbeard did give me a scar. He's a very evil and conniving person. I believe he's liable to do anything, especially become a huge antagonist for the series. Blackbeard also lets almost everyone he meets get a hit on him like it's some sort of fucking game to him. While he is an evil, cunning, and conniving character, he doesn't seem entirely too bright when it comes to combat situations like at all. He openly lets Sengoku, Ace, and Luffy just get free hits on him for no reason whatsoever. And even though I said previously that he defeated both Ace and Thatch, who are both like high-ranking commanders of the Whitebeard Pirates, it's heavily implied that he probably just stabbed Thatch in the back when he wasn't prepared for it. Also, can we talk about how he just stupidly led his crew into an onslaught by Magellan at Impel Down? And if it wasn't for him just being lucky, his whole entire pirate story could have ended right then and there. Magellan literally just used one attack and murked them all. All this representation from Blackbeard, everything I've seen him do, the way he behaves, leads me to believe that for a majority of the series, and I know that there has been a time skip and he's now a Yonko with a bounty, but I question his ability to grow within those 2 years. Do I really believe that within those 2 years' time, Teach has grown to become a competent, feared and respected pirate like Big Mom or Kaido or Shanks? No, I really don't believe that whatsoever. In fact, it seems to me like he's prioritized beefing up his crew. I think he's really relying on the power of his crew. Now, I'm not going to disrespect Blackbeard or Teach here and say that this dude doesn't have the ability to defend himself like he's a weak character in any way. The dude has the Yami Yami no Mi, he has the Gura Gura no Mi, and he has that superhuman strength and endurance. He's definitely going to be able to compete with high-level characters. He's definitely somebody who's worthy of the title Yonko. He's got this huge organization. He technically did defeat and take the head of the previous Yonko before him. He deserves this title. Now, on the other hand, are we really going to sit here and say that if I were to put Mihawk and Blackbeard in an open field, a true 1-versus-1 scenario, that Blackbeard is going to defeat Mihawk? I really don't think so. Mihawk is in every way more intelligent, more confident, more intimidating in his abilities than Blackbeard. We don't even know what kind of hockey capabilities Blackbeard has, let alone his mastery with his devil fruits at this point. But does anyone here actually see Mihawk falling victim to the Gura Gura no Mi? I don't. The Gura Gura no Mi caused huge, large earthquakes at Marineford, and Mihawk seems to be able to jump around and maneuver within those earthquakes perfectly fine. The Yami Yami no Mi here, with its ability to pull people in with its gravity, is truly going to be the one thing that gives Blackbeard like any chance in this matchup. Blackbeard would have to close the distance between him and Mihawk. Mihawk doesn't have to necessarily close the distance between him and Blackbeard, because as it's been seen, Mihawk is able to literally slash miles away, and he's able to do such lethal and powerful strikes that they're able to cut mountains in half. That strong slash that he did at Marineford, which I really refuse to believe is his strongest slash, like that's the strongest slash Mihawk is capable capable of. I feel like if Mihawk put a little bit more grease into it, put some more effort into it, he could definitely produce a stronger slash. But if you remember, that strong slash, just one, was enough to keep one of the most defensive-based characters in the entire series, Jozu. It gave him a decent amount of trouble. He had to put in a lot of effort to direct that slash upwards and out of the way of the Whitebeard pirates. Mihawk is insane, guys. He's extremely strong. You do not get the title of the world's strongest swordsman for nothing. It's almost like when it comes to confidence, when it comes to battle skill, battle experience, dueling in general, that it seems like Mihawk has Blackbeard beat on all these avenues. And before the Blackbeard fans get really salty at me and start raging and saying that there's no way Mihawk can defeat Blackbeard, just keep in mind that I don't think Blackbeard at this moment in time when I'm making this video is a complete character. I am a subscriber to the theory that Blackbeard has multiple hearts. That's the reason he doesn't have to sleep like regular people, why he has so much endurance. I believe that the devil fruit is stored in the heart, and when normal people try to eat more than one devil fruit, it just simply becomes too much for their heart to handle, and they explode and like have a heart attack basically. I believe that Blackbeard is probably going to get a third fruit or a third ability in some fashion, and I believe that there is room for his character to evolve, possibly making him one of the main, if not the main antagonist of the One Piece story. I don't believe he's going to be like the main bad guy, but he's definitely going to be one of them. With all that being said, guys, I think Mihawk is taking the dub. I just got to come out and say it. At Blackbeard's current level that I believe he's at, I don't see him defeating Mihawk in a 1v1 scenario whatsoever. If you have any evidence or any arguments to the contrary, please leave them down in the comments below. I am very interested to hear what you guys have to say. I will be sure to get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, please slap a like on it. If you're enjoying the content you see on the channel, I'd be very flattered if you were to subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed, and with that, I'm gonna have to see you guys in the next one.